Welcome to the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. This is your go-to resource for personal growth, mastering communication, and influencing and persuasion techniques that will help you unleash the full potential of yourself and others. Here is your host, Alex Morgan.
Welcome, everyone. This is episode 18 of the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. My name's Alex Morgan, and I'm a master trainer of hypnosis and NLP. And this episode is all about laying the foundation of how you can influence and persuade yourself and others. And we want to look at the powerful beliefs that you need to have to really embrace influencing and persuading at a expert level. So I wanted to kind of start this off. I found this nice quote online from Blaise Pascal, and it says that people are generally better persuaded by the reasons which they have themselves discovered than by those which have come into the mind of others. So consider this as you listen to the episode. And another way we can start off is Milton Erickson. He was the father of modern hypnosis. That's what many think of him. So he practiced hypnosis for 60 years, and he worked with up to 14 clients a day. So there are many reasons that he is possibly the most recognized hypnotist ever. And it has nothing to do with him necessarily wanting to be that person. It was his unconscious ability to persuade others, so that they can realize that they already have the resources inside of themselves to succeed. So this is a really good point to think about as you're listening as well, because when Milton Erickson was working with clients, he would often speak about things that had nothing to do with their presenting problem, or so we thought. Clients would come in and want to lose weight with hypnosis. And he would tell imaginative stories about his grandmother's tomato plants and how they knew to get the right amount of nutrients and grow the optimal amount. The word weight loss was never mentioned. Clients would then come in for their session a week later and notice that they had lost weight, and they would wonder, how did this happen? Another story of his, he was working with a client who didn't like where she lived. And he told her to go out and find a bird in a particular color in the sky. This caused her to travel all over the country and settle into a place that she loved to live. So what was happening is these clients connected to resources that they already had inside of themselves. These are metaphors, and these are indirect suggestions, meaning he wasn't telling them exactly what to do. He was allowing the metaphors in their mind and how they filter their reality with their mind. This would show them what to do. So he was connecting them to resources inside of themselves. So the client's unconscious mind would point them in the direction to do it. So Milton Erickson, he was a master of influence and persuasion. And just like the quote to start off, people didn't necessarily realize what he was persuading or who was even doing the persuading. So this really is the basis of influence and persuasion working outside of someone's conscious awareness. And it is really easy to do because the unconscious mind, it thinks in metaphors, and your unconscious mind does this too. The unconscious mind creates meaning from these metaphors and suggestions. And this is how influence and persuasion happens. So in hypnosis and in NLP, both of these teach many different ways to persuade easily. And you've already learned a few ways earlier, haven't you? So I have a whole episode on how to master communication, and I talk about sensory acuity and rapport. So if you listen to that episode, you'll know how to do just that. And those are other ways to really persuade people. So if you were thinking bigger, don't you think you can actually influence and persuade others to do the same, just like Milton Erickson? How about influencing and persuading with words? Because if you have rapport, then that person will accept your suggestions uncritically, meaning they won't even think about it. They'll accept what you're saying. So imagine the amount of success you can create for you and that other person if you knew the right words to say. And if you want really more details on exactly what to say, then you can check out my book, The Transformative Power of Suggestion, that I released this summer. And it has many ways that you can really get down into the unconscious mind of another person and yourself to influence and persuade both of you to really get whatever results that you want. So this book is specifically designed and written so you can deliver suggestions in a certain way to influence and persuade at the unconscious level. So I won't be sharing really any information from that book right now. However, all the information I'm about to share, it may be completely new to you. And this means you have even more ways to influence and persuade with ease. And if you listen to the other episode on how to really become a master at communication, then you'll know how to build unconscious rapport in an instant. Because before you even say something to someone, there's some beliefs that I think are important to have. And these beliefs, they don't necessarily come traditionally from NLP or hypnosis or anything like that. However, the rest of this episode, we're going to talk about these beliefs because I believe that these beliefs can guide you to get the results that you want if you believe them. If you truly want results, then you need to believe in yourself. And just so you know, I personally use these beliefs before I message people on social media, before I send follow-up emails, or before I even get onto a sales call, because I think it's extremely important to believe in ourselves. I talked about that last episode as well. You may not be getting what you want because you don't have full belief in yourself. So these 5 beliefs are really going to help you believe in yourself so you can influence and persuade yourself and others, and so you can get the results that you want. So here are the beliefs. Number 1, that the other person you're going to be speaking to, they're interesting. Number 2, if they talk to you for 5 minutes, they will want to continue the interaction and possibly buy something from you. 3, they are ready to take some sort of action now. Number 4, your state is stronger than theirs. 5, you can overcome anything. So let's go into a bit more detail on each of these beliefs. The first belief is easy, and it's simple to implement. You want to believe that the person is interesting. So what does this do for you and the other person? This allows you to show curiosity and have a willingness to experiment a bit with the type of questions you ask. If you go into an interaction or meeting and you have no interest, then how do you think it will go? So you want to have the belief that this conversation is going to hold your interest, so you can hold this person's interest as well. And what does this do? This means you can create win-win situations because you'll know exactly what to say to influence and persuade this other person. So the next belief, this came from one of my mentors. He holds a belief that if he speaks to someone for more than 5 minutes, then that means they are interested in what he is saying, and that means that they will want to continue the interaction and buy something that he offers. It doesn't mean they buy on that call or right away. If you believe this, though, then people are naturally drawn to what you have to say, and you'll be able to influence and persuade with ease. They will be curious about what you have to offer and probably will want to know, geez, how can this person help me? So it's a good thing to believe something like this, don't you think? Believe this and just notice. You'll notice what happens. So the third belief, I think this is a must too, because you want to believe that people will want to do something to continue the relationship. So if you apply this specifically to sales, then you could believe that people are ready to buy from you now. This is something that I enjoy believing because when I'm on a sales call with someone, this means they are ready to get their credit card out and pay. So if this is a normal everyday interaction, it could be an action as simple as sharing value or wanting to chat again. Relationships are built because people have something of value. So the skills you have from listening to all these podcast episodes means you have lots of value to share with people. So use what you know and what you've learned and all the other things you've learned in the past as well to give value and to extract value from other people as well. Because if you give value, they'll want to give you value as well. And this will help you build win-win relationships. So this is such a simple belief that can lead to big results. So number 4 is important as well. And I'm sure this is something you have experienced before. Have you ever been in a conversation and noticed the state of the other person or how they're feeling inside? And that causes you to not want to speak to them anymore. So the reason this happened is because the other person's state was the strongest in the room. So if you have the strongest state when communicating, then that means you can more easily influence, persuade, and get the outcome you want. So let's say you're going into a sales call and you feel nervous. As soon as you get on the call and speak, the other person is going to start to notice this. And chances are they're not going to feel like they know you, they like you, and they trust you. This means they won't probably want to buy something from you. Now imagine you have unlimited amounts of confidence and you go on the call. So the other person can hear this in your voice. They can see this. And then they'll start to feel confident that what you have can help them get results and solve their problem. So if you have the strongest state, this gives you more flexibility and allows you to guide the other person towards what each of you want. And in NLP, this is similar to the law of requisite variety. And this means that the person with the most flexibility of behavior can control the system. So this is a belief when you come to an NLP training, we teach on the first day that we want everyone to believe. So if you can be flexible in your behaviors, including your state, guess what? You can control the situation. Make sure, though, that what you're flexible about, you're in a resourceful state or doing a resourceful behavior, so then you can influence and persuade someone to get something good. So the last belief is that you can overcome anything. So many conversations or many interactions, many meetings, they may not go so smooth and how you want everything to go. People may have objections. They may give excuses. People may blame others, or they may even not take responsibility for their actions. So it's important to believe that you can overcome any of these things. If you don't believe this, then guess what? People are going to sell you on their excuses, their objections, them blaming others, and them not taking responsibility. So you need to be aware of this, and you need to believe that you can overcome anything so you have control of the conversation, and you can guide it to where you want to go. So you can influence and persuade with ease. And maybe you're thinking, I've never thought of these beliefs before, and that's fine. However, use this episode and listen to it, and especially listen to the part where I list the 5 beliefs, so you can really let these sink in to your mind. Because maybe at first, influencing and persuading, it's not going to be the easiest thing for you. Maybe it'll take some practice. That's fine. It took some practice for me as well. Having these 5 beliefs, though, is going to give you confidence, and you're going to be motivated to influence and persuade people confidently, even if you are not an expert yet. An amazing thing about these beliefs is if we can influence and persuade with these beliefs and be really intentional about our language and build that rapport, then we're going to be speaking to the client's unconscious mind or the potential customer or whoever it is that we're trying to influence and persuade. And the good thing is when we reach the unconscious mind, that means that our success rate is going to be much higher. If we're just talking to someone and, using these beliefs and influencing and persuading someone, and it's very surface level, our success rate isn't going to be as high. So when you, let's say maybe 15, 20%, however, when you really influence and persuade and build that deep rapport and get down into the unconscious mind, your success rate can triple to 45%, to 60%. It could even quadruple once you really become an expert at these techniques. Because when you speak to the unconscious mind, like Milton Erickson did, he spoke directly to the unconscious mind. He didn't even have to tell them what they thought they needed to hear. And he could influence and persuade people to do, essentially, whatever they wanted, whatever their unconscious mind wanted them to do. Because he understood that people have all the resources they need inside of themselves to succeed. And it was his job to connect them to those resources with how he spoke, how he thought, how he carried himself, so that they could get what they want. So before you really try to start to influence everyone with words, it's good to have these 5 beliefs. So let these beliefs really get installed inside yourself so you can really feel these beliefs. So here are the beliefs again. 1, the person is interesting. 2, if you're talking to someone for 5 minutes, they will want to continue the interaction and possibly buy something from you. 3, they are ready to take some sort of action now. 4, your state is stronger than theirs. And 5, you can overcome anything. So these are some really good beliefs that you can have because you want to influence and persuade at the unconscious level. I'm sure that's why you're listening. So these beliefs should allow you to also think in a whole new way. So let this information kind of layer in to your unconscious mind. So these new learnings and these results and these new beliefs can take you to a new level. So wherever you're listening to this podcast, go ahead and rate the podcast. I'd love for you to give it a 5 stars and leave feedback as well so I know what episodes that you like and what ones that you want to see in the future and hear in the future, and let all that information really sink in as you feel it in the future. So thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.